Hello guys, welcome once again to my YouTube channel, and today we are going to talk about a library management system that I built with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, a little bit of backend, and then my SQL, which is for database. So the front end, which was actually done using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. The HTML is what we use for the structure of the page, and then the CSS was for styling, and then the JavaScript was for interactivity. When it comes to the back end, we use Java, which actually it handles the server side logic of the application. It processes requests from the front end, it interacts with the database, and then it brings us response back to the front end side. So what I'm basically saying is that it interacts with the front end, and then checks in with the database, which is the SQL, and then brings out back information or results to the front end side. And then with the database, we used MySQL, which basically stores all the data related to the library management system, such as the books on it, the users, that is your username, your password, and then the session that has the borrowing of books and returning of books and all that. So what I'm basically saying is that if you log on or you register on here, um everything, your details has to be saved somewhere, right? So that when you are trying to log in, the back end can interact with the front end, which is the input that you are putting in, and then send the request to the SQL, and then checks if your details are actually in the system, and then it gives you a request, it gives you a response. So we are going to do something quickly to explain all that. So what we see here was actually done with HTML5, styled with CSS, and then given interactivity or functionality by JavaScript. So um, so you see everything that I've entered here, it's information, right? And then this was done possible using HTML and CSS. But then when we click on register, something needs to happen. It's supposed to take our details and then save it in the database, which was done using SQL. But then for it to be able to take our information and then save it on the SQL, that is interactivity, that is functionality. So now this register button here, we have given it functionality that, okay, if we click on you, you have to take our information and process it and give it to the database for it to save it for future. So the moment we click on register, it says registration successful, and it redirects us to the user login. So now we have to enter our username and then our password, and I'll see something. The username actually is Josh34, but then I'm going to do it Josh37, and then with the same password. If I click on login, it says user not found. And then this also is another thing which is made possible using, or it is made possible by the back end. So just as I said, the back end, what it basically does is it interacts with the front end, which is this details that I was putting here. It interacts with it, and then it processes everything that we are doing here, sends it to the database, and then it checks if whatever thing we are doing exists there, and then it gives us a result, or yeah, a result. So now the username actually is just 34, but I did it 37, and I inputted the correct password, and then after it interacted with the front end, and then it made some processes. It sent it to the SQL to check the information. It saw that there's no user as just 37, right? So it gave me a feedback or a result that's user not found. But then if I bring the correct thing and I log in, it says login successful, and then it redirects me to the main page. So this is the functionality of of the the this is the functionality of the back end. And then the functionality of the functionality of um the front end, the JavaScript part, is it's giving us access that when we click on the login, it actually redirects us into this dashboard, right? And then everything that we see here, the total books available, books currently borrowed, overdue books for my account, right? The book catalog, every data that we see here is actually saved on the database, which was done with MySQL. So if we come back to the dashboard and then we have to click on this logout button, what happens for this logout button to work? That is what was done with JavaScript. So when we click on this logout, we are telling the site that if we click on this, it should give us chance to get out of the site. And then this interactivity or functionality was done with JavaScript. So basically, this library management system was built with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, a little bit of backend, which was done using Java, and then MySQL, which is the database which stores all the data on this system, which was actually done using MySQL. So what the front end does is that is what builds the structure of the website. The CSS styles, it gives it the background, the nice things you are seeing on here, that makes this website appeasing to the human eye, was done with CSS. And then JavaScript was done, and then the interactivity or the functionality was done using JavaScript. Thank you. See you again in my next video. Bye.